Welcome to the Pixl Marketing Show, the podcast for real estate media pros who want to go from random acts of marketing to remarkable results. I'm your host, Pete Stagel, founder of PixlCRM and creator of the Pixl Marketing Method. And every week, we're diving into the systems, strategies, and real stories that help you attract better clients, retain them longer, and grow a real business. Let's get into it. Let's get started. So, again, welcome to our Pixl Accelerator. This is day one of our 5-day wins implementation sessions. We'll be doing these daily at this time all week. It's designed to get you up and running with a lot of the quick wins and stuff that the system just offers. That's easy for you to just turn on or at least work through fairly quickly, get things going inside of the Pixl CRM. What we found when we first released Pixl CRM is a lot of people didn't know where to start. We've been building a lot of trainings, a lot of processes so that people have a better understanding of what they need to do next and how to get the most out of the system. Early on, we had a lot of people that would just do the feedback and review system. That's kind of what we had built out automatically for them. And people loved it. They were using it and just using it for that. And I kept on looking at their accounts as like, why aren't you doing more with this? And that's ultimately why we did the Pixl Marketing Method Masterclass beginning of last year or this year. It was still this year, and ultimately turned that into the book and the podcast and all of the material that we've been putting out. You guys can kind of see how best to utilize the system and market your business to your clients. And so today we're going to focus on a lot of the pieces of the system that just kind of go over what they all do. To an extent, I always want to go light on what all the system can do, because otherwise you'll end up getting lost in all the different things it can do. We are going to focus a lot on the brand AI and building your brand playbook, and where in the system you can utilize a lot of the information that you'll generate once you go through that exercise. There's a lot of AI scattered throughout the system that'll allow you to generate content, to respond to views that come in, to answer your phone or text, or even just on Instagram and Facebook and what have you. So there's a lot of powerful tools you can use, especially once you have the brand playbook together, because then it knows more about your business and can tailor a lot of the responses to you specifically. The other thing too is with the brand playbook, and I'll be sharing my screen here in just a minute, is it allows you to, as the owner of the business or the manager or what have you, to go through it and understand who is your target market, what are you targeting them with, and what do you want to be offering them. We'll cover irresistible offers tomorrow, but today, with the brand playbook, if you don't know who you're going after and you're just putting marketing out there, hey, we do real estate media, anybody who needs real estate media, we'll do it for you. Nobody is going to raise their hand and say, yeah, you're the one I need to talk to, because you're just talking to nobody. But when you clarify who it is that you want to do business with and why you exist, you can speak to a customer much more specifically, call them out, and they're much more likely to do business with you. So that's what we're going to really focus in on with the brand playbook. So that exercise by itself will help you with all the other pieces of the Pixl Marketing Method. It'll help you act better offers. It'll help you show up in the right places, because you know where your ideal client hangs out, whether that's on social media, which platforms, or specific office presentations, types of stuff, or events that you might want to attend that will attract your target client. So we're going to dive in here. We'll be doing a Q&A at the end. So if you want to hold your questions to then, unless it's something specific, such as I can't see your screen or along those lines. And then we'll do a Q&A session at the end. Like I said, this will be recorded, or is being recorded, and will be added to the community. Everybody see my screen? Give me a thumbs up. Head nods, whatever. That works. Cool. All right. So we're in my demo account. I'm going to go through a couple of things in here. So the brand AI is down here on the left-hand menu, where it says brand AI with a little robot. When you click on that, it'll take you to a chat-based, kind of like ChatGPT, but it's certainly built so that we can do the brand playbook. So it'll prompt you like this, to just build your brand playbook. This is designed to be a question and answer. So it'll go in here, let's build my brand playbook from scratch. And they'll start, great, let's start building your brand playbook. First, can you tell me your brand name, website, contact info? This is so it can create a PDF at the end of this is all the information. You can put all that in here. I'm going to walk through some of this just really quickly, just to give you a couple ideas of how deep the questions you should go. So let's just do, it's Pixl Photography. Website is going to be pixlphoto.com, which does not exist, I hope. Contact info is, let's just do hello at pixlphoto.com. So I just did really basic stuff there. And it popped out all of this. It says, let's define your tone of voice. This is how it's going to phrase a lot of the rest of the messaging. And so typically I like to go friendly and professional. Some of our clients that we've coached through this have gone a little bit more engaging, empathetic, innovative, and that works as well. So just choose how do you want to come across from your business standpoint. I like friendly professional. That usually works well for my type. But you'll go through that and figure out which one makes sense for you. It comes back with more information. So it's both friendly and professional, approachable, yet expert, warm but polished. Next, we'll talk about your target audience. Who are your ideal customers? For example, are they real estate agents, homeowners, commercial property managers, or others? And then they want some specifics if you have them. So this is where you want to be a little bit more specific. This is where you need to start thinking through who you actually want to target. I've talked to plenty of clients that they work with both real estate agents, but they also do commercial builders or property development or property managers. And each of those demographics, you're going to talk to them differently. So you may actually have 2 or 3 brand playbooks at some point. But I highly recommend focusing on one to start with. And that one is going to be the primary one. So if you primarily are working with real estate agents, do that one first. That's the one that's going to get you further in all of your rest of the process and the rest of your systems. But you can go back and you can do this again and create another playbook for the other different demographics. You can't do real estate agents and property managers and builders all in the same playbook because it's too broad of a market. Agents don't care about the same things that builders care about. Builders don't care about the same thing that property managers care about. And so you need to know who you're targeting fairly specifically in this when you build your brand playbook so that it makes sense and you can build the rest of the stuff. Your offers are going to be different. Your products and services that you even put together and present to your clients are going to be different. Where they show up is going to be different. What they value from a media provider is going to be different. And so you need to understand who it is that you want to do business with so that you can attract them specifically. So, and none of those markets are wrong. I mean, Airbnbs is a strong market. I know several photographer companies that go just after Airbnbs. I know plenty that go right after commercial. Now, obviously, a lot and most of our user base goes after real estate agents. Understanding who they are and what they look like is really important here. So we're not just going to put in here real estate agents. So if you do real estate agents, it's going to want you to dive in a little bit deeper. And so I built this prompt that it tries to elicit more out of you, because real estate agents by itself is not a target market. Real estate agents is a group of people. And yes, you kind of know where they are. You kind of know what they're looking for. But are they, just like the questions here that it came up with, are they independent or are they part of larger brokerages? Do they specialize in certain types of properties? Do they operate specific areas? What are their challenges and goals with real estate media? Do they even know that they need to have professional photos? Which most of the world at this point knows they need professional media, but some rural areas they still don't. It's not a high priority, and so you may need to teach them more about why they need real estate media. Most markets, that's not as important anymore. Go back 8 years or so, and it was much more prevalent that you had to teach people why professional media made sense. And so when you look at this and you try to figure out, well, who is my target market? Most people who are doing a higher volume real estate media company are targeting agents that have a higher volume of agent listings.
they probably are part of a larger brokerage. Just probably. I mean, look at your own clients. Most of them are going to have a geographic area that they work in. In my market, and what my target was in my real estate media business was people that were in the Albuquerque metro area. I serviced the entire state of New Mexico, but my target was the Albuquerque metro area because that's where the most of our listings all generated from. My target was agents that had more than 4 listings a month, so effectively 1 a week at least, and they typically listed a middle of the road property. I was not going after the people that listed the higher end properties, primarily because we didn't have a whole lot in Albuquerque metro area. Luxury is not a huge market. Also, with what I was building in my business and what we built with my team and my photographers was not a luxury model. You guys can do whatever you want to, but in my market, that's who I targeted. And the reason I did that and got it very narrowed down in there is that I could show up where I needed to show up to network with the right people. I could craft offers that spoke to them. All of my products and services worked out really well for that target market. I didn't do flashy videos. I didn't do a lot of the things that some of the higher end stuff and some of the agents would want to do. You know, we didn't do a luxury video or anything like that. And that worked out for me because I didn't have to teach my photographers how to do that because we set up our entire business to focus on that. And so that's just a really good example of having it very targeted as to and how it affects the rest of your business. And so if you target and really define who you're targeting, it affects everything else and it builds on itself. So you're going to want to put that in here. And so a good example of this, and I'll just go with our Albuquerque market, is we target high volume. I could speak way faster than I can type. Realtors in the Albuquerque. I can't even spell Albuquerque. Look at that. Metro area doing 4 or more listings a month. Average listing price is I'm not sure what the average listing price now is. When I sold my business, it was right around the 350 mark in Albuquerque Metro. Average listing price is this. Our average square foot was actually about 1950. You don't have to get that granular, but I had that metric, so I put it in there. 1950 square feet. And typically part of one of the larger brokerages. So you can see it'll tell you whether that's a good or not, and then it'll also give you a little condensed version of this. This is what's going to end up in the PDF. We serve high-volume real estate agents in the Albuquerque metro area who handle 4 or more listings each month. These agents typically work with homes averaging around $350,000 in value and about 1950 square feet. Most of our clients are affiliated with larger brokerages seeking reliable, expert photography services that showcase their properties effectively and attract buyers. And then it'll ask you if you want to tweak that or not. We'll just keep on going. So that's good. And then it'll ask you the next question, such as the customer's pain points. And I'm not going to go through all of this, but I wanted to give you an idea of how a simplistic answer is going to get a very simplistic result. But the more detail you give it, the more it'll come back with appropriate information that you can then use in your business. This is not something that you should throw together in 30 minutes and just fly through it with simple answers. The idea behind this whole brand playbook is that it makes you think. It makes you dive into what does your business really exist for? What is your USP? What makes you different? What makes you stand out to your target client? And when you go through that exercise, it ultimately helps you define what you already are doing. And you'll find that a lot of the stuff that you've been doing aligns with this anyway. But you may find that there's things in your business that don't align with who you're targeting and what you're trying to stand out as with your USP. And it may be things that you need to cut. It may be things that you don't need to be doing. Just as for instance, this is not calling anybody out, but if your target market is an older realtor who has a lot of listings and has their systems and processes, trying to force on them the real style videos probably is not going to work well. It just probably won't because they're not they're not willing to adapt at the time. And obviously, every market's different, and you may find those outliers. But if they're Instagram and TikTok, those flashy videos, they don't even know what to do with them. They're not gonna use them. So if they're not on social media and promoting themselves that way, if they're still working off of referrals because they've been in business for the last 40 years, and that's who you're targeting, then maybe you don't need to have that flashy video product. Maybe you don't need to teach your team how to do that flashy video product. Maybe you don't have to go find that flashy video editor and spend all that time and money and effort there if you're not going to sell a lot of it. And so sometimes going through this exercise, you realize some of the things that you've been chasing and doing in your business doesn't really matter, doesn't really make sense to be doing anymore, that you could be putting that effort and time into something that does help you grow and scale your business. And so that's why we start with the brand playbook. It really is that important. It's not just another little PDF that you're going to run through on AI and you'll just leave it there. It'll just go through your business and see, what does what I'm doing make sense? Does it make actively participating in certain marketing activities? Or maybe I shouldn't, because the target market's not there. For instance, and I used to do this every year. I go through all of my marketing and everything I'm doing and say, okay, what worked, what didn't work. But one of the things that I was very active in our local association, and so what do you call it? I was chair of that committee. I was on the golf tournament committee. I was on the YPN Young Professionals Network committee inside of our local association. A lot of different things, and I found that the YPN committee, for instance, it was the same 5 people showing up, and they're the same 5 people that didn't have any listings and weren't using me. And so they would do coffee meetups and stuff like that every month, and I would take time to go do those meetups and to network. And it was the same people, and they weren't using me, and they knew who I was, and they weren't using me because they didn't have listings, because they obviously had more time than listings. That's why they were at these coffee meetups. But they were my target. They didn't have listings. They weren't listing properties. So did it make sense for me to keep showing up to them? After a while, I just determined that what didn't make sense, and so I cut that out of my marketing. Sometimes you'll find that there's other things that you're doing. Maybe was it BNI, where there's only one other realtor? Does that make sense to go to a BNI meeting every time if there's only one potential client that you can get out of it? But again, depending on who your target market is, if your target market is Airbnbs and commercial and stuff like that, you may have more potential clients there than not. But going through all of this from a brand playbook standpoint helps you understand a lot of that, and helps you make ultimately the biggest value you're going to get out of the brand playbook is, once you have this PDF, you can hand it off to your team members. You can hand it off into the AI systems, which will show you. You can feed it into ChatGPT if you're using that, or hey, this is my brand playbook for my business. Whenever I'm talking about, reference this, and it will keep that in its memory, so it'll know and who you're targeting. But also, you can use it filter for everything you do in your business. And I think this is value from the brand playbook, is any decision you're going to make, run it through the brand playbook. Does it make sense? Does it hit your target market? Does it make sense with your USP? Does it make sense with what and you as the owner value and what you want to come across to your clients? If it doesn't fit, then you don't need to be doing it. Like I said, without out the flashy video, if your target market doesn't care about it, then maybe you don't need to do it. And so every time you come up with a cool idea, or you go to a conference like PMR, you get these cool ideas that are working in other areas, or cool ideas that people are talking about. You can run it through your brand playbook and say, does this make sense for my business? And if it does, then you do it. And if it doesn't, maybe it's not as high a priority to. It's the really big thing. It just gives you a more clarity. And like I said, you just go through that. At the end, it'll spit out a PDF and a piece that you use. And I encourage you to put it in a Google Doc or what have you. Just save it so that you can feed it into the various. So where would you put that into the system? And so the first spot is we're going to go into, because I think it's under marketing here. Yep, marketing. You, what this allows you to do is it allows you to do a lot of, but also your brand voice. And so you'll go to your brand voice. I'm just going to you add brand voice, anything. And this is where you're saying you can have multis. This one up, and I'll show you. You can see how it has a lot of the same fields and went through in the brand playbook in the and you just copy and paste it into here. You know, your brand identity, who's your target audience, your customer pain points, the brand promise, brand values, and what makes you better than compete, which creates urgency by explaining the drawbacks of not. And then what's your call to action? And your call to action typically is book your next. That's what marketing and we'll talk about irresistible offers tomorrow with a lot of the different calls to action there. You put this all in here, and now we'll go back out. Now we can go, instance, a lot of AI scattered throughout the system, but we'll just go to the social planner here real quick. You can create a new post with AI. So we'll just click on content AI. Let's create a Google Business Profile post. We'll click next, and you can see we're going to choose different brand voices. If you have different ones, you're going to create different posts. What do you want the message to be? It'll give you options. You can also target audience and stuff like that. You can give it a lot more information and click generate, and it'll generate a lot of that for you. At least a very good starting point. And so you've got that part. I'm just running through a couple of the spots in here, but if we go into, actually, let's go back to reputation, for instance, and go into settings, and we'll cover feedback and reviews later, but you can automatically respond your reviews on Google, which will help you better in the rankings there. By default, it's going to have one, but if you create a new one and use pieces in here, name it, use the different tones and whatnot, it'll give you reasons. It's using some of that information from your playbook there as well. There's just a lot of stuff in here. If we go into AI agents, it's a whole nother thing, but we'll go into that as another point. Go into the knowledge base here. You can actually up your brand playbook as a part of your knowledge base, so that when somebody uses the voice AI or the conversation AI or any of the pieces in the system that can communicate with your clients, it knows who you're targeting and your business is about and what their pain points are, and it just standpoint to work with. And I'll touch on it, but we'll do a lot more on this in. I think this is Wednesday. I think we'll touch more on the AI agents. But when you create a bot, you can actually create it so that it will prompt you to. So in say the conversation window here, it will actually give you if somebody messages you on text or email, whatnot, what the AI's response would be, and that would be based on the knowledge base. So it'd be based on the brand playbook and all that. You have admins and VAs and other people in your business that could be responding to stuff. It'll prompt up information that they should be responding with. If any, a different guy at during PMRE, and one of them was about building a widget kind of for yourself or Chat GPT to be able employees have the same type of information with the same brand voice. That's kind of baked into the system here, and so you can do that. And so your VA, based on the information that you've uploaded to the knowledge base and everything like that, can give the right answer at the right time without having to necessarily ask you about it. And so that's a lot that you can do. But like I said, we'll dive a little bit more of that. It's Wednesday. Wednesday under lead gen, because part of that we'll cover some of the voice AI stuff there, and we'll go into some of the knowledge base and how to get all of that in there. But for today, just getting into the brand, who you're targeting, what your business. Do you exist just because you wanted to do photos, or do you exist to help your clients market their business better? Do you exist because It should be easy for your clients to get all of the media that they need to market themselves and their listing. Ultimately, there will be a reason why you exist and why somebody should choose you over somebody else. And if you can't articulate that, you're going to have a hard time when you take to the market to get business. Because if you can't articulate why they should choose you, then how are they going to articulate why they should choose you? It could just very well be the relationship that you're building with them. They want to use you because they like you. They know you, they like you, that you're going to provide them with a good service. And that's fine, but articulate that out and make sure that that's part of your business. And if that's the case, then certain things that you do in your business are going to be a lot more specific to building that relationship. It's going to be a lot more about that personal relationship between you and them, which means maybe you need to do some more coffee meetups. Maybe you need to do more personalized communication. If they choose of availability and quality of service, then maybe that deep relationship isn't the reason that they're doing business with you. It's because you have a big team. It's because they can always get a hold of somebody. It's because you have consistency across the board where they know the same quality and level of service each time that they book, regardless of who shows up. If that's the case, then it's not so much the business owner and the relationship there. It's about the systems. It's about the processes. It's about making sure that everything happens the same way every time. And so just knowing that helps structure your business entirely differently than what you may have been doing up to this point. So I highly recommend going through that brand AI first. Spend a couple hours going through it. And I think it'll be a process to go through in your business and something that you probably haven't done up until this point.
Thanks for listening to the Pixl Marketing Show. If you're ready to go from random acts of marketing to remarkable results, grab your free copy of the Pixl Marketing Method at PixlMarketingMethodBook.com. If this episode helped you, share it with another real estate media business owner. Make sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. Until next time.